Hello, welcome to the Curator Podcast. This is episode 38. Hi, hello, welcome once again, dear listener, to the Curator Podcast. I am your host, Mark Fraser, and this is episode number 38. Now, this episode, is kind of turned into a double header. On this episode, I interviewed Jamie, the guitar player and singer, one of the guitar players in a band called Atlas Empire. But he also runs a podcast called Hello-Fi, which is the podcast for Lo-Fi Studios in Glasgow. A couple of weeks ago, he asked me to come in and do an interview for his podcast, and this week I'm returning the favour. This is technically part 2 because we'd already done his podcast, but that won't be out until later. So even though this is part 2, to you, listener, this is actually part 1. So it was really great to sit down and chat with him. I've been a huge fan of Atlas Empire for a long, long time. I even put out one of their records in my brief stint as a record label boss, a mogul of music, if you will. That was a weird experience, but yeah, lovely guys. I've always enjoyed their music, and Jamie's a really, really awesome guy, and as you'll find out in this podcast, very intelligent, very articulate guy. We got on quite well, and I think there's a really good rapport there, which you'll probably pick up quite quickly. We had great fun. Well, I had great fun. I don't know if he had great fun. He might not have had great fun. He might have hated every second of it. I don't know. But I had great fun talking to him and hearing all about his stories and stuff. Guys had a very colourful life, and we've also got a lot of the same interests, which I feel is quite cool as well. So it gives the interview a nice cadence. It's also a really long interview, so I'm not going to rabbit on for too much longer. Before we get into it, he's given me a song. And the song's called A Throwaway, and it's from a solo album that he's working on. So this song's actually an exclusive, which is pretty cool. So yeah, from Jamie Sturt's solo album, which will come out at some point, this song is called A Throwaway.
Bird in the nightmare, you told me in cold air decide on your nightmare and steady your eyes stare. Here is your fear for future. Here comes the light, here comes the cross. I tried in the night, slowed by the cold air. You're warm to your sad fate. He called from the fresh grave I made, from the bones of a throwaway, and flayed like starlight, grinded, beaten, common as a murder of crows, and a street light pulled apart on everything so no one ever knows. The hope and the boredom of knowing, and the burden of growing up scared, afraid with the heartbeat, the cackle and false breeze, alone in my own clique. He says there's another week, and fly like starlight, granted, beaten, common as a murder of crows, and a street light
Jamie, this is part 2. That's part 2. Technically part 1 though, because part 2 isn't.
Let's call it part 1.5.
Yeah, part 1 in the middle somewhere. How you doing?
I'm good, man, I'm good.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. We're in the same place as we recorded your podcast.
Yeah.
But now you're the other side. How does that feel?
I don't like it.
Don't like it? Why don't you like it?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's the first time you've been interviewed on a podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What are you expecting?
All these times of interviewing people for my own podcast, just so that eventually somebody will go, why don't you come and do the podcast with us? We'll talk about you. You can talk about yourself. It's your favourite subject.
People love talking about themselves, man. That's the best thing.
No, everybody does.
Yeah.
I do, but not everybody
That's
does.
why I do podcasts. I like to hear people talking about themselves. It's nice. So now you're on the other side. Why did you start podcasting?
I like talking to people.
Yeah.
That's not true. I don't like talking to people at all. It's nonsense. I suppose I should try and be as honest as possible.
Yes. That's helpful.
It was just an idea I came up with for the studio to create more online content, to help bolster the studio's online presence.
So content marketing, basically.
Yeah, and because basically I find the idea of organising, conducting, editing and posting an interview much preferable to going on Twitter.
Yes, there is that, but I guess they're two totally different things, aren't they? Like
They are, yes, they are. This is content, Twitter is Twitter.
Twitter is where you go to get content in small sections, and then if you have to post link to something big.
I'm trying to get back into it. I mean, like, I used to tweet occasionally, and I've been trying to get back into it, but I think it's just like I just can't be fucked keeping up with it.
What's it you don't like about
There's
it?
so much of it. There's so much stuff. There's so many people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even follow that many people, but like if I start following somebody and they're posting 5 or 6 times a day and retweeting as much as that as well, I just unfollow them. I'm just like, I can't be fucked. You're clogging up my stream. Like, I can't see interesting things because of all this nonsense that you're posting. I don't want to post stuff that's nonsense either. I mean, I will, but I don't want to.
That's interesting because, like, part of what I do for my job is in the sort of whole content marketing realm, and like they say you're supposed to tweet between 15 and 20 times a day.
Fuck off.
Yeah, because like a tweet's got like a lifespan of like 2 minutes. So unless you're the guy,
so why bother?
Yeah, well, you must be the guy that's on Twitter like all the time, just watching it. Most people just look at it and go, "Oh, that's cool."
No.
Way.
No. I'm barely ever on it. I go on Twitter when something comes up on my phone saying that somebody's done something, and once in a while I'll be like, I should probably send a tweet.
Yeah.
I haven't sent a tweet in a while, but then nobody ever responds to them. Unless I've like specifically like tagged somebody in it or anything like that.
And then I get a notification saying, Jamie has tweeted for the first time in ages. See what you said?
Yeah, that's most of my tweets. What did I say? I think I might try using Twitter again, which I think I've tweeted about 5 times, usually with months of gap between them.
So is that from your own Twitter account or from the Lo-Fi one?
From my own one. The Lo-Fi one generally gets used for things like, we've had a last minute cancellation for roommates. Book now and save X number of pounds.
Did you guys once have Only Crime in here?
Have what?
Like the band Only Crime, the punk band? I think they were in here practicing.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Were you in that day?
I think so. I can't remember.
Because we were like... Craig,
I'm pretty sure I was.
Craig, my flatmate, and so on our first step to failure, like they played with them that night, and they took like 3 hours to tune the kit on in audio. And Bill Stevenson's Floor Tom is like one of the worst sounding things I've ever heard in my whole fucking life. And we've got this funny joke whenever we hear really bad Floor Tom, it's like, yeah, Bill Stevenson. This guy used to be in Black Flag, but he can't tune. He's one of the best producers in the world for punk, and he can't tune Floor Tom properly. What's that all
So
about?
we get his Floor Tom Larzo snare.
Yeah, and who's the other?
I'm trying to think who's got the worst kick drum. Just any metal kick drum
I was going to say
from
that.
the last 5 years, just that trigger.
Yeah, we'll go. I think we'll go for a sort of catch-all and go with Adam from Killswitch,
He played in the first 2 albums, and he's got that production kicky sort of
it's like
triggery sound.
it's super triggered.
Yeah.
Like if you want to go the polar opposite, like great drum sounds, Baroness.
But mate, yeah. But the new album, man, I don't think production's very good on it.
I like it. I don't like it as much as I like Yellow and Green.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I love it.
Different producer, I guess.
Yeah. But Yellow and Green, I remember listening to that in Flatmate's car and just hearing the drums swirl about you. They're so perfectly panned. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
It was John Congleton, wasn't it? For the Paper Chase. And
don't ask me.
He done the new Chelsea Wolf album as well.
That's fucking good.
Yeah,
that's a good record. I was listening to that.
Good as well.
Like, see that opening track, he's like, what the hell is going on here? This is amazing. I tried to put it to me and my girlfriend, listened to it, she's like, no. That's so reminded me, I wrote a blog today. It's not something I've ever done.
I read that.
You read it?
I read it.
Fuck off.
I did. I was sitting at work doing nothing, and I thought, I went on Facebook to see what time we're meeting at, and it popped up, and I was like, oh, cool. Now
that you've mentioned Chelsea Wolf, I'm wondering why she's not.
Yeah, I was just going to say why she's not.
Long story short, it's the blogs for because it's International Women's Day. Hooray for women! And I tried to post that do something as uncynical as possible, and just a celebration of some of my favourite women in music.
Yeah. Bjork's on there.
Of course, Bjork's on there.
Yeah. I've not got it yet, man.
Don't.
Explain it to me.
You don't explain Bjork, you listen to Bjork, you love Bjork, and you continue to love Bjork. That's it. It's so bonkers. Like, she's got, like, I'd say if you want like an in to Bjork, if there's stuff you want to listen to find your way into it, if you're looking for something a bit kind of harder, listen to Army of Me. If you want something a bit more chilled, listen to All Is Full of Love. And if you want to hear something just amazing, listen to I've Seen It All, but listen to the version she did with Tom York.
Okay.
Because it was from the Dance in the Dark movie, so it was her and Peter Stormare.
It's a Lars von Trier film.
Yeah, it was her and Peter Stormare that did it in the film, because she was in the film and Peter Stormare was in the film, and as part of the film they did it, but they did a version with Tom York, and the rhythm starts off, it's the sound of a train, and they just loop this part of the train, it's just I'm so this was amazing. And like the strings snap when you're like going, oh my, it's like harps and everything's like, oh.
When did Bjork happen for you?
I don't know, like anything electronic and or like out of that kind of way didn't happen until I was in college, because I was a total purist. I was like, music should be played live, blah blah blah, like fucking Neanderthal man with my protruding brow, just going no to change and advancement in technology. And right, okay, so this is a slightly weird. I feel comfortable telling this story because it was so long ago now. So I'm in college. It's my last year in college. I decided I'm not going to do my degree because I got married really young and had a kid, and I had a wife and kid at home who I needed to support, and I thought I'd get to the end of my HND and I'll go get a job. Plus, it was making me hate music, and that I couldn't really stand. That was the part that really annoyed me.
So what was it? What was it then? What were you studying?
Music.
Just music?
I was studying music performance.
Okay.
And it was making me hate it. So I was just like, right, I'm going to get out of this for a while, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to, look after my family. How old am I at this point? I'm only like 19 or 20 years old. Really, really fucking young. And I've already, at this point, I've been married for like 2 years already. Married when I was 18. So yeah, I'll be about 20. And already the marriage is going south. As you'd expect when you put two people who are quite young together, don't even know each other that well.
Can't even really function adults either.
Yeah, not functioning adults. Throw a kid into the mix there as well. You know, it's bound to cause friction, if not problems, if not just, you know, what ended up happening, which was, you know, after 3 years we separated. After another couple of years we were divorced. But I just needed to get out of the house. I needed to be out of the house. It was too stressful for me, and I was too young to be dealing with all this shit. So there was an advert up for a guitarist wanted for somebody's degree project. And it was a trip hop project. And I was just like, well, this will get me out of the house.
Is that like kind of like Portishead kind of stuff?
Like Portishead, Massive Attack, Tricky, Uncle, that kind of thing. So I was like, I don't know what trip hop is, but I can play guitar. And so I was doing a couple of these different degree projects because they would sort of take folk from the year below them, and because they needed the extra musicians. So I went to do this and got given a tape of the songs we had to learn. And it was Portishead, it was Massive Attack, it was Tricky, it was Lamb, it was like some Beth Orton in there and all sorts of stuff. So like at that point I'm just like, holy shit, there's this whole world of music that I had completely neglected, because my knowledge of electronic music, dance music, was what people in Lanarkshire listened to, which was bonkers.
Happy hardcore.
It was happy hardcore. It was like, it was getting stuck in school in the technical drawing class where you're allowed to put on music, and everybody wants to put on fucking happy hardcore, and I'm just bleeding through my ears because I'm just like, can I not put some Soundgarden on?
Apart from the Soundgarden, that's exactly like my experience in school. I left school when I was 15 though, and because I got into corn and shit, as you'll hear later on in another podcast. But yeah, that's do you think that's like, that's really sad, isn't it, that you just start to get rid of that whole genre of music because of what?
Well, yeah, because when you are like, how old? I was 16 when I left school, so when you are 15, 16, everything is black and white. Mm-hmm. You know, I like that, you know, I love this, I hate this, you know, and you tar everything with the same brush. You're just like, I love listening to Blind Willie Johnson, so therefore I love the blues. Mm-hmm. Then I tried listening to Blind Lemon Jefferson, couldn't fucking stand him. That was a bit of an eye-opener because I thought I was supposed to like him, and I tried, but I couldn't. And then I heard happy hardcore, so therefore I hate dance music. I hate all dance music because dance music is shite. And it was the same way with my guitar playing. With it was always, I have a guitar and a tuner and an amp. You don't need anything else. Anything else is cheating. You know, I don't feel that way now. You know, I'm just like, oh, what fancy new pedals can I get? They're all amazing.
I was just having visions of you being like Billy Bragg there on stage, you're like electric guitar and pedal and amp and just one man.
Done that, yeah.
But yeah, so Portishead, trip hop.
Yeah, so that opened up a whole new side of music for me. And then when inevitably, like kind of a year or so later, when my wife and I split up, and I'd been doing a lot of skateboarding and just hanging out with these guys that skated, and listening was like some hip hop coming in there as well. And then at that time I was also getting heavily into like 80s American underground, so
Dinosaur Jr. style stuff.
I fucking hate Dinosaur Jr. I can't. They're a band I don't get. Okay, yeah. I understand why people like them, but I don't get them.
Like Husker Du then.
Husker Du, Replacements, Big Black, Meat Puppets, yeah. Black Flag, bit of Black Flag, not loads of it. You know, some of it I liked.
Black Flag are divisive.
They are, but then you know they went through so many. The lineup changes and changes in their sound, you know.
One man needs ego, basically, that's all it is.
Yeah, Greg Ginn. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you will notice that if fucking Kira Rossler was on my my 8 women in music He won an Oscar.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Member of Black Flag wins an Oscar.
It's bizarre to think that, like, so much has come out of that one band, yet that guy's just become so fucking detached from not even like the sound, which is fair enough because that happens as you get older, but what it meant as well, and like what it meant to people.
Yeah, you wonder why, like, there's like litigation, all that kind of stuff involved, and you're just like, you're fucking Black Flag. What are you doing?
Were you thinking about fucking suing Keith Morris when you were sitting in that fucking van in 1985?
Yeah.
This is totally bullshit, man. But so
everyone's got their reasons for what they do.
So 80s underground.
80s underground. But it was like it was never so much like there would be one band. It was always a bunch of bands. It'd be like I'd have like one or two of their albums that I just loved, and rather than kind of delve right into their back catalogue, I would just find another band associated with them and find their kind of best. I'm very much cherry picking because I have a really short attention span. So there was...
That's really weird when you say that, given how long some of the Alice Empire songs are. But.
Oh yeah, but then when you're playing them, it doesn't seem like that long. When I'm writing my own stuff, it's like once you get past 2.5 minutes, it's just like, what are you doing?
My back.
Yeah, slight interruption there.
These things happen in the topsy-turvy world of live recording.
Yeah, should have put a sign outside the door just saying, "Do not disturb," or just
quiet.
Fuck off.
Yeah. Be quiet. Don't come in and steal gear. Ask at the desk.
Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so
attention spans.
Attention spans. Yeah. Case in point. Yeah, so it would be like I'd listen to Husker Du's Candy Apple Grey like 5 times in a row, and then like Land Speed Record or something like that. But I wouldn't go and like be landing like I know I'm supposed to go and get Zen Arcade. This is the one I'm supposed to get.
So you didn't get
I've
that?
still never got it. I don't know if I've even listened to the whole way through.
I was going to say like it was really like when you say Husker Du, I just automatically think Zen Arcade, which
I know.
is not short attention span music at all.
No, it's not. But I mean, it's not even as if I don't listen to long albums. I mean, like
at the time though,
but not even at the time. I was still listening to long albums and stuff like that. It was just like by that point I was like right. I'm also like obsessed with the Replacements album Let It Be because it's just a masterpiece. Yeah. Or listening to Fugazi's Repeater in 3 songs or The Argument. Meat Puppets 2.
Should we stay here? This is like me. This was before the internet. Like before we had computers. This was like actually buying records.
I didn't even own a laptop till I was 25, and that was 2007. So. I didn't have internet for a long time, and even once I had the laptop, I didn't have regular internet access until maybe 2010. I didn't grow up with it. My parents didn't have it. I probably had it after I left home, but I didn't have it at home. I got at college, which was great because that was just as Napster was becoming a thing. So somebody told me about Napster, and then that's when I started listening to bands that previously never been heard of before. You could just find anything on there. It's where I got like super heavy into Pedro the Lion. Still fairly heavy into David Bazan stuff today. I think he's one of the best songwriters that's ever lived. But like I was like really, really, really into Pedro the Lion.
Not familiar with him, to be honest. Like,
oh man, that's a whole other conversation.
Good time.
But needless to say, like Pedro, he did an album which is a concept album. Well, they were all kind of concept albums, but this was very much a story from start to finish. The start of the record to the end was a story about this relationship dissolving and breaking up, and it ends in murder. It's
dramatic.
It is, but it's also just awesome music. And this came out like right after Me and My Wife split up, so I listened to this album like 300 times in a month. It was on constantly in the flat. It was my breakup record. It was my blood on the tracks. I was just like singing these songs. at the top of my lungs in my wee 1-bedroom flat, you know, into a bottle of Southern Comfort, just being like, so sad right now.
Have you got what other albums have you got that sort of highlight moments in your life? I know we're asking this before, but it just immediately occurred to me when you mentioned that. Because we use that, we do that, like, as people that are doing music, we use that.
Yeah,
periods in life.
Unfortunately, I think I don't have maybe not different periods in my life. I'm sure if I think hard enough, I'll be able to think. There's quite a lot from that period because it was such an emotional time, you know.
Understandably.
Elliott Smith's Figure 8 was a big album for that time as well.
Fucking love that record so much.
So good. See, on the drums on Everything Means Nothing to Me, the kind of delayed drums, when that comes in, you're just like, going, whose idea was that? Because it shouldn't work, but it's so good.
Yeah. Stupidity Tries is the one for me, man. That gets me every single time right in the feels.
Which one?
Stupidity Tries. She gets me in the feels every time, man.
No, Everything reminds me of her. Fucking hell. But the Elliott Smith song that gets me the most is Twilight. I mean, off From a Basement on the Hill. Yeah. You're just like...
This guy was never happy, was he?
Well, he was. He was, you know, like...
That's the sense you get from his music, though, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you seen the film?
I've not seen it yet.
Heaven Adores You. Watch it.
I really need to see
great.
it.
It's really great.
That was shown recently, wasn't it, in the Glad Cafe?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, it's an amazing film. Right, so anyway, where were we? Music from periods in your life.
You can go back to Elliott Smith and talk about him all day if you want.
I can talk about Pedal all day. I can talk about this stuff all day. I'm a talker.
Talky man.
See, once I get started on subjects I know something about, or at least even I think I know something about them, that's it.
So, the various subjects you know about yourself, so we've talked about all that kind of stuff, but when did you pick up the guitar? Like, when?
Well, like, not in the most musical family. My mum played a bit of guitar, and she had a couple of guitars sitting about the house. There was an old Spanish guitar that she'd had since she was 21, and then at some point she'd wanted to get a steel string guitar, and had got one of the old Echo Ranger 12s. Now I believe it was one of the last batch before the factory burned down, and she got it in this music shop in Hamilton.
Wow.
And that was always kicking about the house, and then at some point she decided that she couldn't deal with the 12 strings and had taken the harmony strings off and removed the machine heads, which are gone now, no one knows where they are.
The guitar still about?
It's at my girlfriend's house. My brother was using it for a while. I wasn't really playing much guitar, so I borrowed it, so I had a guitar at my girlfriend's house. I use it occasionally, like if I'm trying to work on something but I'm overseeing her, or if, you know, just so there's a guitar there, so I can always play.
Something handy, yeah.
Yeah. Usually it's so I can sing daft songs to her while she's making dinner. That's not the woman makes the dinner kind of thing. I'm a terrible cook.
Yeah.
But so those guitars are always kicking about, and I remember my mum trying to show me a few chords when I was maybe about 9. But it's a 12-string guitar neck. It's this big wide neck, so it was too complicated. I didn't like it. It's too much for me. I think I tried that once and that was it. And then as I got older, I was my brother had started playing guitar, and my sister was playing the flute, I think, at the time, and my wee brother was playing the euphonium at school. So whenever he was sitting playing it, he'd just walk past and just hit the spit release valve, so it just launched spit all over his trousers. Because we're brothers and that's what you do.
Yeah.
Then at some point I was like, right, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. Purely because a wee small village, there's nothing to do. You know, there's nowhere to go. You know, you can't go hang out. But you go hang out with your pals and play computer games and all that, but you can't do that every night. Mm-hmm. You know, people have things to do. People
Yeah.
get have other friends to see. It's,
Families have to do family things and all that.
yeah. So not a lot going on. So I wanted to pick up the guitar. So I went and chatted to my big brother's door, and I was like, "Can you teach me how to play the guitar?" And he's just like, "No." He's like, "I don't really know how to play the guitar that well." It's like, "Look, Mum's old Spanish guitar's still downstairs. Why don't you? Here's a sheet of chords. On you go.
Give it a bash.
Give it a bash." And then before long, I was just like, that's all I was doing. And then that Christmas, I got an acoustic guitar for my Christmas, because I was like, at this point, I was obsessed and was actually starting to get quite good at it. And then it was all I was doing, to the detriment of everything else. Like my studies went to shit. I was just playing the guitar and annoying people with how much I played the guitar, like 6 hours a day. Just fucking, I should be a lot better at that. Yeah, that was it. It was boredom. Long story short, I got bored, learned how to play the guitar. I'd always written stories.
Mm-hmm.
I remember writing these big, long, awful, sprawling, like subpar Tolkien-esque fantasy stories, and they were like, I don't know, like 150 A4 pages long, and I would like read them to my wee sister, who was like, just, I don't know, like 8 or something, 7. And they're fucking terrible. I mean, they're just, oh. My mum found a book of, like a notepad of mine, and gave me it like a few months back, and it was from years and years ago. It was from when I was still in high school, and there was like stories that I was working on in it, and I started reading them, and I just tore out the pages and threw it in the bin. I was like, this is fucking horrible.
The biggest cringe.
I don't want anyone to ever see this. You know, there was nothing redeemable about it. Nothing. It was pish.
Did you read a lot then?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
I was a voracious reader. Again, small village, not much to do. So before guitar, it was reading. I used to get funny looks from the librarian at the local library. So I'd go in, and you had your little, obviously before like electronic cards and this, you had these little like cardboard tokens, like little pockets, and they would put the little thing from inside the book into it, and it went in their big filing system, and they were like a kind of weird off red colour. I still remember all of them, and you had 7 of them. You weren't allowed to get out more than 7 books. Well, there was also like videos and CDs and stuff like that. So you'd go in and you'd take your 7 books out. So I would do that like once a week, read through them all. Next week, another 7 books, another 7 books. But I would be going up to the counter with like, I'd have like a book of Asterix, Tintin, and then they had not a very large but a fairly decent like graphic novel section.
Yeah.
So it was there that I discovered like Grant Morrison's Batman Arkham Asylum, or what was the one? There's the Death of Superman, or the one of my favourites at the time, because I was too young to know that Arkham Asylum was a masterpiece, was Batman's The Sword of Azrael, which I later tried to find the individual issues, because I thought, it'd be nice to have them, these individual issues of this comic that I really enjoyed. There's only 4 of them. How hard can it be? How expensive are they going to be? I know that they're from the 90s or the early 90s, but how expensive are they really going to be? Turned out it was like the first stories done by Joe Quesada, who now runs Marvel.
Yeah.
So they're worth quite a lot of money, so I can't afford them. I was like, fuck. I introduced it as the first introduction of the character of Azrael. So things like that. And then I'd have like Edgar Allan Poe and stuff like that, and like, just strange shit. This bizarre collection of stuff, and I'd just be looking at me going, what the fuck are you reading? Or like Alistair MacLean. Have you ever read any Alistair MacLean? The Scottish. It's all like war stories and stuff like that. It's like the Guns of Navarone and Where Eagles Dare and stuff like that. It's action stories for boys.
My dad used to read that stuff when he was growing up. And that.
Oh yeah, I read tons of that kind of stuff, and like any kind of fantasy stuff I get my hands on, like, because there's only so much Tolkien, and so you have to go for like second best kind of stuff. So
you're a fan of David Eddings?
I was just about to say David Eddings. I remember reading the first 2 series.
The Marillion? No. The Belgrade? That was the first one.
Yeah. I think I read that second, but the first one was the follow-up to that I read first.
I think that's the Silmarillion?
No, Silmarillion's Tolkien.
Oh, fuck. Belgrade and... I can't remember, but it's... I read all those. That was one of the, like... When my...
Zedar the Apostate.
Yeah.
Fuck, why did that come into my head? I haven't read these books in years, yeah.
Belgrade and all that.
I just remember...
Bulgaria and stuff.
No, I don't remember that. I just, like, there's little bits of it that stick in my head. Like, I remember Zedar the Apostate, because I thought it was such a bizarre name. And I remember them conjuring weather magic, and the guy being totally exhausted afterwards. And the kid going, "What, you just made it rain?" He's like, "Do you have any idea how hard it is to change the weather patterns of the world so you can make it rain in this one spot? You know, grow up." That kind of thing. That's like all I remember about it.
Yeah, well,
Terry Brooks was another one.
Belgrade was like the master sorcerer that was teaching, was his the wee guy how to do it and all that, and Polgraf was like his sort of sister or wife thing. Yeah, I still have those books. Like when my stepmom moved in with my dad because she's from Wales. She was like she was really into fantasy, and she was like, "You should read these Redding's books." And I was like, "Okay," and I just consumed them all, like those two trilogies or quadrilogies or whatever they are. I think it's 4 books in each series.
Might be 5.
I read them all anyway, like back to back, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is so cool." Then I read Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett was another one who I uncharacteristically gave a second and third chance to, because the first 2 I tried to read I didn't like.
What were the first 2 you tried to read?
They weren't Discworld ones. This is the thing. One was Dark Side of the Sun, and the other one was... No, the other one was a Discworld one. It was one about the witches, but I can't remember which one it was.
See, I could never get into witches.
Never get into witches. No. Then I read Guards.
Yes.
And I was like, this is it. This is brilliant. And then I went right back through all of them. You know, went right back to Colour Magic and Light Fantastic, and...
It was Mort for me. It was the first one I read.
Yeah.
Mort.
Oh, Mort's brilliant.
And I remember the
that's a good one to start with.
Yeah. It's like death. It's like, what the fuck is this all about? It
speaks in capital letters.
Yeah.
No chapters in any of the books. It's just like, I'd never seen anything like it. It was so bizarre. It was everything about it was just like so original and unique, and I was like, this is amazing. I only recently got around to reading Good Omens. They did with Neil Gaiman.
I've got it in the house, but I've not read it.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's both quintessentially Neil Gaiman and quintessentially Terry Pratchett. You know, the kind of the atmosphere of it is very Gaiman-esque, but the language, the puns, you know, that kind of thing, the very Englishness of it is pure Pratchett. It's wonderful. I absolutely adore it.
But all this led to you writing fantasy stories then?
Yeah, well, like, yeah, that's what I was into. You know, that's what I enjoyed reading. Who was it? David Gemmell was another one. Fuck, why do I keep thinking of these guys? Anyway, so I'd long story, not so short. I'd been writing loads, and then got into playing guitar. So the most natural thing to do was to start writing songs, which were terrible, and would remain so for some time. And I mean, at the time, I was. I had quite a religious upbringing and remained quite religious until pretty much up until me and my wife split up. So like the music coming in wasn't necessarily as diverse as it could have been. So what I was doing was singer-songwriter stuff. It was all basic chords, 4/4, occasional 3/4, just to, if I was feeling a bit saucy, and you know, just shitty songs, just bad shitty songs, and
you persevered though.
Oh yeah, I just kept writing songs and kept, you know, like, oh, this song's great, I really like this song. You know, 2 weeks later, that's not good. I don't like that song. It's not very good.
Well, if you stopped doing the fantasy writing and you started doing the songwriting, what, if the songs were terrible, I'm always interested in this. Why did you keep going?
Well, because when I was at the time when I was writing them, I thought they were good. Mm-hmm. So then by the time I'd written something else which I thought was better, I realised what I'd written before wasn't very good, but now I'm better, I can write that. So each time you do it, you're getting a bit better. So you just keep going. That's what the fuck else am I going to do, you know? It's like, that's the only thing I kind of know how to do, even if I don't know how to do it that well. You know, it's like, just keep doing it.
Yeah, just do it until it's good.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, that's how anything works, really. So I thought.
I think it's not like I think every songwriter when they start out is obviously going to be the same. Although for me, I think we spoke a little bit about this in your podcast, but I don't think I've only written a handful of songs which I actually think are any good out of all the songs I've ever written, and that is even after writing them. At the time, I was like very acutely aware of the fact this is not so good.
No, I've got a problem with my ego though. So at the time, I generally think that I go from thinking that what I do is a work of art, it's genius, and why are people not listening to what I do? I mean, they're not listening to what I do because I'm not letting them to hear it. You know, that's the answer to why they're not listening to what I do. I go from that to, why the fuck am I even bother? This is shit. This is all terrible. I should just give up and go work in a bank. And I fluctuate between that, you know, on a sometimes daily, sometimes hourly basis.
That's the whole psyche of the artist, I guess, isn't it? Like that's part of the reason why.
Unless you're Kanye West.
Or Prince.
I'm not sure Prince is that arrogant about his music.
I think he's. I don't know. Like he's. I know what you mean. I know what you mean when you say that. But
because he's not very public about his thoughts on himself, really.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I mean, like, he just kind of just does it.
Yeah, he's always just done it. I think, but I think the lack of filler is.
Yeah, he's a fucking musical genius.
Yeah, but I would like to think someone with that amount of talent and that amount of skill would be very aware of the fact that someone was bad the side that left his fucking brain. You know what I mean? Which has clearly not been the case. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like 35 albums in a career and you're still playing songs from like the 1970s and all that. Do you know what I mean? So,
or he has a respect for his audience and knows that that's what they want to hear.
I don't think he does. I once actually asked him a question on Twitter about how if it annoys him that people want to play his songs, and he replied to me and said, yeah, he didn't even reply to me, he quoted me, and then he replied to me with a link that said how to really annoy Prince, and it's like 5 best covers of Prince songs, and that was it. I just explained it entirely. I was like, well, what kind of person is... He can't be so... Obviously he's aware of the fact that his fans and musicians are going to want to play his music if they're inspired by it, but he doesn't like them doing it. That's kind of odd to me.
Yeah, then he goes and covers other people's music.
Yeah, like liberally.
Yeah.
Like not just occasionally, like every fucking show. He does it. Like.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's so few people in the world that can get away with it.
Yeah, well, he's made...
With being that way.
That's it. That's totally it. I think that's...
And I think that's... But the problem is that there is people that can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets away with it because he's Prince. He made fucking Purple Rain, you know.
Yeah.
He made, you know... What was that? What was the name of that album? Was it Diamonds and Pearls? The new Power Generation album?
Yeah.
You know, he's made so many great records. He's written so many great songs. He's a virtuoso in multiple instruments. You know, he's the consummate performer.
Mm-hmm. He's taken a stand on issues before we even realised there were issues in the music industry.
Yeah, he's the one that brought... Like, he was the first person. I remember him going with... Like, remember that whole thing with the slave on his cheek? You know, I remember that happening in the mid-90s. You know, and it's like you didn't realise that was a thing. You know, you thought musicians all had a great time. Mm-hmm. He used to stand there just going, I'm one of the biggest musicians in the world and I'm not having a good time. You know, but I've lost what we were talking about.
I guess it doesn't really matter.
Nah.
But we'll go back. We're going talking about your musical journey.
My musical journey, yeah.
So, like, the songwriting led to better songs, which then led to continue to be in your own. What was your first band?
The front of the band was some folk in school. So, so there was a couple of guys who was at school with another girl that was at the same church that we went to. And we formed this little band, just guitar, bass, drums, vocals. We weren't very good. Played in kind of churches and stuff like that. And then the last who sang, Carolyn Robertson, died very suddenly. She contracted meningitis, and a few days later she was dead.
That's brutal, man.
And that was a terrible time. She was also my wee brother's girlfriend at the time, which made it even worse. You know, But that was that was harsh. I was like 15 at the time, and there was a whole other heap of shit going on at home at that time as well that I'm not going to talk about. So that was a pretty shitty time. We tried to do some stuff, just the three of us after that, but it never really transpired. And then I moved away to go to college. It was just like you had your college bands, and then I think maybe my last year of college I started a band called The Hideous Mr. Goldstein, which was okay. We weren't together that long. We wrote a few good songs, played a few shows. It was my first real. That's when I was like 21. It's my first real experience of going out and gigging with a band. You know, I'd done stuff with obviously in churches and stuff that I was younger, and on my own I'd done a thing where I got flown over to the States to play this youth camp, and it was all that was just me and myself, and I'd done so much stuff just on my own, but songs still weren't that good, and the band songs were a bit better. I really enjoyed that. And then I when my wife and I separated, I fucked off to the States for a wee bit, like a couple of months, and then when I came back, I was living in Perth at the time. The drummer had moved to Dundee and the bass player had moved to Liverpool. You know, in the course of 2 months, and I was like, oh well, that's that. Then I ended up moving up to Aberdeen. I was there for a couple of years and various attempts to try and start bands. But I just kept on doing solo stuff. The songs got slightly better, and then I was doing a wee side thing with Dave, who's the bass player at Atlas Empire. So we're at this point we're still 10 years ago. We had this little bizarre side project called Death by Dave, which was me and him sat at a table on stage with like a lamp and like a drum machine and like a Line 6 pod. And a couple of guitars, which we weren't even always playing, and we were just doing these strange little songs, making fun of each other, and we always had like different things ornamenting the table that we're sat at. Like we had a photo frame that was always there, and we put a different person's picture in it each time. Like one gig we did, we had the bass player from Dave's band was in it, and then when we had Wolverine in it, and then we had this horn. It was like a ram's horn kind of thing that I would sometimes talk through, and it would sound like this, and it was quite funny. We were just being daft, and we got a kind of sort of small kind of underground following there. I remember getting fired from my job. I was like miserable as fuck. I was walking up to the job centre, and then across this road, and this car beeped its horn at me. This guy leaned out the window and goes, "Fucking Death by Dave!" And I was like made my whole day. I was just like, oh my god, that's so weird. First time I ever got recognised for doing something. It was just really bizarre. And then at the end of my time in Aberdeen, I joined Dave's band, the Vandalays, as a bass player, and we all moved out to Glasgow. This is when I started playing in bands properly. Yeah. Do you want me to keep going with that? Because I can go chronologically and we can get through this a bit quicker. So that if you've got somewhere to go, or
how did you get to Atlas Empire then?
Got to Atlas Empire through. Right. Okay. So there was the Vandalays, who we just stopped rehearsing at some point, and then they started rehearsing again with a different bass player and didn't tell me.
All been there.
And then I was playing another band called Dirty Hearts, which is a kind of synthy pop band for about 6 months, 7 months, something like that. Then what was after that? I was doing like solo electro stuff under various different names, and then what was I doing? Yeah, so then I joined The Silent Forest, which I was in for like 5 years. And through like doing shows like that and meeting people through the open mic blog that I now run, or co-run rather, I met Steve Gillis and started doing sound for his band at the time, The Ocean Fracture. So I eventually became their sound guy, and then from there we did another sort of side band that was just a bit of fun, called Cavalcades, before that band Cavalcades came out. We played maybe 5 or 6 shows. It was us and Chris Gran. Do you know Chris Gran? Used to play in Miss Atlanta, and does parkour, runs and jumps off things.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
And so it was his wee thing that me and him were kind of working on, and Steve came on bass, and me and Chris were playing guitar, and we had Paul MacArthur on drums. And then that was never really a serious thing. That was always just a wee thing we did on the side. And then Steve had joined another band. His name I'm not going to mention because they're still a band, but we're not going to mention it. And had then recruited me for that band on bass. Now, we were in this band for like 9 months. We never played a show. It was all rehearsals and recording and stuff like that. It was all trying to do things properly, trying to get the material ready and then launch it out. And there was fallings out because the singer of that band, who subsequently actually left and is no longer in the band, he's getting started the band, is no longer in the band, had been messaging, like texting Steve, like about me behind my back. I like called a band meeting without me because they were, I don't know, it was like apparently I was too folky and weird for his, you know, stadium filling pop rock band.
Should get tattooed on you, folky and weird.
Really should. that's I like that. And then so Steve and I met up one day, and he's just like, "Look, this is what's happening. We're pals. You should know about this." And I was just like, "This is bullshit." He's like, "I know, it's bullshit." So we phoned the guy up and quit the band. And like, let's do
absolutely fuck this guy.
Yeah, absolutely fuck this guy. So we decided, let's do something just with ourselves. So we could probably do something just the two of us and a drummer. So, you know, I do electronics and stuff like that, so we can just do that. You can play guitar and sing, and I'll kind of do some guitar, some bass, some keys, program, and all that kind of stuff. We just get a drummer in, it'll be fine. So we're jamming stuff up in my flat, and Dave was like, my flatmate, who's now in Atlas Empire, it's just like, that stuff sounds pretty good, man. Do you guys are working on it? It's like, yeah. So what are you guys going to do with it? It's like, just think, get a drummer in. We've got a couple of guys interested, so we'll, I'll just kind of rotate guitar and bass and that kind of thing, and get a drummer in. He's like, alright, cool. I think the band would benefit from like a permanent bass player, though, like an actual dedicated bass player. I was like, alright, cool, I'll keep it in mind. And then we're out, Steve and I were out one night, and we were at the garage on a Monday night, like the rock night back as it was. Fuck, I can't even imagine doing that now. It's fucking horrible. But we were dancing away, and I was getting a bit drunk, and I was like, what do you think about getting a bass player? I think we should get a bass player. So have you got anybody in mind? It's like, Dave's a good bass player. Dave's always played guitar in his bands, but he played bass in Kelly bands. He's perfectly, he's a good bass player. He's a great musician, and I've done a couple of projects with him before. I know how to work with him. He's a good guy, and he's my best pal. So cool. So I immediately text Dave. Of course, turns out that was the reason he brought it up in the first place. It's like, he's like, I could play bass for this band. I think I'd be really good at playing bass for this band. Yeah, and then so after many years and various lineup changes and whatnot, we are where we are today, and we're doing things and that.
What happens now, Alice Empire? You're working on a new record?
Working on a new record. Working on the first full length. We've got a tour in April with Victor Villarreal from
Saw that.
Captain Jazz and Joan of Arc, etc. Hopefully another tour during the summer that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But once I am, you will hear about it. And then once the album's done and sorted and we can get it out somehow, finally get back to writing material. We've got all these things we've been working on, but because we've got a whole album's worth of material that's not out yet, we just want to get that done and dusted and move on.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Cool.
Is there anything else you want to say or anything you want to ask me before we finish?
Listen to the Hello-Fi podcast.
Yes.
And you just go into iTunes and type in Hello-Fi and it comes up as the Hello-Fi podcast.
I'll link that.
Yeah. And there's a blog. This is the blog of the podcast now, which I thought was quite amused me because I thought it was kind of like the book of the movie.
Did you have fun writing it?
No. I like writing fiction much more than I write. I like actually expressing opinions or saying things about real things. Yeah. Fiction's easier. You can be more honest in fiction than you can in some kind of journalism. I think anyway. I think totally. As a person,
I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah, and this new thing coming out because I just got this. I can talk about it now because I just got it confirmed today. Series for BBC The Social, the Songwriters Circle of Death will be coming out soon. With people writing songs about people that have died in weird and wonderful ways, which I've created and I'm organising. So
that'll be a good project.
I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. You know, I mean it's literally just today been confirmed that it's going to happen. Yeah. So I've got to go and re-edit the first one and send that back in, and then chase people up that are doing songs for the rest of them.
Excellent.
But apart from that,
bright for Jamie.
Yeah. At JW Sturt on all your tweets and Instagrams that I'm barely ever
doing, yeah.
Well, I'm on I do post on Instagram fairly regularly,
yeah.
every few days or so.
Yeah, I'm not good at Instagram.
I enjoy it more, but I'm a visual person. That's why I like comics so much.
All my photos look the same, so I always take photos and look at them and go, shite, and then I never fucking post it.
Sometimes it's like, yeah, fuck it, that'll do.
Yeah, I guess I should probably take that approach. Anyway, Jamie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Thanks up there is probably one of the longest interviews I've ever done so far, but I had a great time. We could have spoken all day, but because we were recording in lo-fi in the recording studio, that's why I wanted to wrap it up, because we could have went on and on and on, and I would have loved it. It would have been great. There was a bit of noise in the background there because, like I said, we were in a studio and there was a band playing in the background, but hopefully I managed to sort of mix that out as much as possible. Hopefully it wasn't impeding on your listening, didn't distract me when I was asking the questions either. So yeah, a great chat. Like I said, a long interview, so I don't really want to say too much more. These preambles and post-ambles can sometimes be a little bit lengthy and wordy. Sometimes it might feel like I'm trying to make up time. Sometimes I am. But this time I'm not. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As ever, if you can drop me a rating and review on iTunes, I would hugely, massively appreciate that. It would be awesome to get that. But I'm going to play you out now with a track from Atlas Empire. This track is taken from their latest release called The Stratosphere Beneath Our Feet, Part 1 for the Satellites. And this song is called Hostess. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, bye bye.